My name is Chris Clark. I'm the owner of Right to Bear Arms Firearms Shop in Vero Beach, Florida. And today we're going to discuss the differences between a .380 caliber all the way up to a .45 caliber handgun with a home defense personal protection situation. And what I've done so far is I've got all 4 different Beretta handguns out. Each one is a different caliber, all the way from .380, 9mm, 40, and 45. The relevance to all this is just I'm constantly bombarded with questions in my stories. I want my first gun for the house and I don't know what I need, what caliber I should use. Everybody generally leans toward .380s and 9s because you hear them talked about a lot, and a lot of police officers and law enforcement use 9mm caliber handguns. What I've gone ahead and done is made sure all the weapons are cleared, the actions are open, the magazines are out, nothing's loaded into any of the chambers of the weapons, and they're all safe. .380 caliber ammunition, also known as .380 ACP, is typically just a shorter 9mm cartridge. All the difference is they've taken it and shrunken it down to make it fit in a more compact handgun. .380s are a great personal defense bullet, especially in a state like Florida where most of us are wearing light clothing. It doesn't have a lot of penetrating power due to the shortening of the cartridge. It means it has less powder, so it doesn't have as much punch. However, still a great self-defense, and you can get the guns generally very small. A lot of your pocket guns and things that are going to go concealable in regular casual attire, it's a great handgun. The next option is a 9mm. 9mm is what you hear a lot of law enforcement things use. It is a smaller diameter bullet compared to a 40 or 45. However, it has a lot of punch and a lot of penetrating power. The next cartridge is a 40 caliber Smith & Wesson. Again, larger than a 9mm, smaller than a 45, kind of your mid-range, real common bullet, followed up by your 45 ACP. 45 ACP happens to be my particular favorite just for the fact that it's a lot of lead. It carries a lot of weight, it's not a fast-moving bullet, it's slower, therefore it doesn't impact and travel through, so you get a harder punch when the bullet makes contact. .380s again, great carry piece. Easy to conceal and hide. Not my first choice in a home. Not my first choice for so much for my main gun. I use one a lot as a backup because they're small and concealable, or if I can't take something else out with me. The next option is your 9mm. Great range pistol. Tends to have more muzzle flip than a larger caliber gun does, but really common, lesser expensive ammunition. The thing I don't care for is they tend to over penetrate. It's a small, fast moving bullet. What I mean by that is you have a perpetrator in your house, somebody comes in the middle of the night, breaks in, you jump up, you're scared, you grab your gun, you confront the guy in the hallway, you fire off a round or two, and you make contact with him. There's a chance for that bullet to penetrate through him, through a wall, and maybe hit somebody in another room. Not a chance I want to take. You take that anytime you squeeze a trigger. Or if you're in a public situation, you're in a parking lot, someone comes to rob you for your car, pulls a knife, attacks you and your wife or you and your family, you pull your weapon to defend yourself. There's a situation that you may shoot the bad guy and the bullet's going to go straight through him and then hit somebody behind him. And you don't want to shoot the wrong person or accidentally shoot someone that you didn't intend to hurt. I always lean toward home defense. I try to go with a 40 caliber or 45 caliber. I don't like ball ammunition in the house. I typically go with what they call a regular full metal jacket round. This is a regular full metal jacket round. I typically go with a hollow point in the house because it doesn't have as much penetrating power. It's the difference of hitting somebody with a small needle or hitting them with a large fist. Again, the 9mm is small and moving fast. The 40 caliber is a little bit larger, moving slower, so when it makes contact with the bad person, it doesn't tend to go through them, and if it does, it's not carrying much energy. Great home defense round, not very expensive on the ammunition. People always think that the smaller the bullet, the less money it's going to cost them to shoot it. The difference of a price of a box of 50 9mm rounds and a box of 50 40 caliber rounds is generally going to be $2 to $3 more for 50 bullets. You're talking pennies on the dollar. Then the next, which is my personal favorite, is a 45 ACP. It is not the largest handgun bullet, but it's the most commonly large handgun bullet you're going to find in a semi-automatic. It carries generally anywhere from a 230 grain, most typical is a 230 grain bullet. It's got a lot of penetrating power. It's what we've used in the military for a long time. If you strike a grown man in the chest with a 45, there is no standing up afterwards. It may not kill the guy on the first shot, but it's generally going to put him on his butt. The gun typically when a customer comes in and asks me what's the difference, why do I want this, why do I not want that, you know, well, this looks easier to shoot than this looks. They get intimidated by the size of the bullet, especially with female customers. They think that because it's a larger gun, it's going to recoil worse or it's going to be harder to operate. That's far from the truth. 45s have a tendency to push backwards, whereas smaller calibers, 9mm, 380s, have a tendency to jump up. What I mean by push and jump is when you fire a 45, it tends to push rearward towards you more so than the muzzle flipping upward. What a lot of amateur or beginner shooters get scared by is when you squeeze the trigger and the gun jumps way up here, you think that it's going to come flying out of your hands. Makes it uncomfortable, makes you not want to shoot the gun as much. Again, in order, you've got a 380 ACP, a 9mm, followed by a 40 with a 45 ACP on the end. Thanks for joining us on our first video. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, want to yell at me for anything in particular, leave it below for us, and we're going to try to shoot a lot more videos. We're going to try to get some out with us playing with some of the guns from the store. We're a full licensed Class 3 dealer, and we're also a Class 7 manufacturer, so we build our own in-house silencers, as well as play with a lot of machine guns and a lot of exploding targets, bleeding zombies, all the fun stuff. We're going to do more review videos, and we're going to try to do some. If you have a particular gun you haven't seen taken apart, I do have a 35-year experienced master gunsmith in-house, so if there's something particular that you just are fumbling with at home and can't figure out, give us an email or leave a comment below, and I'll try to get that particular weapon in here for you and see if I can't take it apart and put it back together and make some sort of sense out of it. And tune back in. We're going to try to do this once a week, and hopefully we'll get a little better as we go.